Greetings. So here we are. It's day 5, and the story we have today is about a man who's been ill for 38 years. He's been sitting at this pool at Bethsaida for 38 years. This whole period of hopelessness. And you can't seem to grow through it. It's a condition you don't want, and you pray and pray and hope and pray, but you just can't break through. 38 years, helpless. Now, if God would have done it, he would have done it before, right? But he didn't quit, this man. He kept going back, and you think, it's never going to go away. He's been lying in that same place for 38 years, like the woman with the flow of blood for 12 years, a long time. So this is the day when all these people get healed, and they wait for an angel to stir the waters, and he went, and he'd probably been there a lot of days. And all of a sudden, Jesus is there. It's during one of the feasts that brought Jesus to town, and he goes right to the place where there are the most hurting people. And he finds this guy and he says, "Do you want to get well?" Wow, what kind of a duh? Who wouldn't want to get well? Doesn't Jesus get it, right? But look at some of the words. Jesus saw him in this great, massive crowd of people. Jesus looked across all of this incredible need that was already there, and all of them crying out for healing. But Jesus saw this one man. In a sense, he's only looking at one person at a time. In some ways, limited and focused. He could have just said, "Hey, everybody's healed." But Jesus' healing was individual. He was interested in the man, in him as an individual, as a person. That means maybe that's how Jesus sees us, just as we are. Secondly, it says Jesus knew. Jesus knew his condition, knew what he was facing. He saw him and he knew he had been there for a long time. Maybe important to know that Jesus knows us. We think we're so unique, terminal uniqueness, thinking we're the only one. But Jesus saw and knew his condition. And then what really opened things up and was awesome was that Jesus asked a question beyond. And it's just spectacular. It's awesome. It changes our lives by asking just the right question and just the right time. And then the question changed that man's life. He saw him, looked at him. Yeah, obviously, I want to be healed. But still he asked him, "Do you want to be healed?" Think about it. Sometimes people don't want to get well. When Jesus asked the question, the possibility was that he didn't want to get well. He got comfortable. Sometimes we get comfortable with our misery, and there's one part of us that says we want to be healed, but another part that's afraid of change. And do you want to go through all the hassle and the heartache for relationships to be healed? So this man responds that yes, he does want to be made well. But when the Spirit stirs up the healing waters, there's no one to get him down there. He had focused on this solution that he had figured out for himself, rather than looking for the solution that God might have for his life. The man was so focused on his own thought of how he would be healed that solution got in the way of God's solution for his life. All he was looking for was a quicker way into the pool. But what he really needed to do was to follow the command of Jesus. Now, in our devotional book today, you'll hear about Susan, who was a hopeless alcoholic and who hit rock bottom and then started digging. And in her disease of alcoholism, if you would have asked her, "Do you want to be made well?" she would have said yes. But for her, getting well would have meant to continue to drink without anybody bugging her about it. She would want to continue down the same path without any consequences. "I want to get well on my own terms," is probably what she would have said. Same with the guy at the pool, right? He wanted to figure out his own solution. just like Susan wanted to figure out her own solution. But Jesus challenges us to do the very thing we think we can't do. Change. I can't do that. There's no hope. That's not going to happen. But yet Jesus says, rise, take up your pallet and walk. Like he said to Abraham, you're going to have thousands and millions of descendants. Like he said to Moses, stretch out your hand. And he said to Joshua, the walls will come down at Jericho if you do it my way. This guy who's been there for 38 years, take up your pallet and walk. Do you want to be made well? Think about that today. Do you want to be made well? See you tomorrow.